Illuminating Day. This podcast is a study of the Hebrew word yom, often translated day in English. It requires no knowledge of Accordance Bible software, Hebrew, or Greek. I found myself in the middle of a heated internet discussion the other day. It was on a Christian forum. The debate, not surprisingly, was over the Genesis account of creation. Young Earth and Old Earth creationists, scientists, evolutionists, and others weighed in on the meaning of Genesis 1. It was one of those discussions that generated more heat than light. Curiously, a large part of that discussion revolved around the meaning of the word day, yet not one person introduced any scholarly evidence to support their position. On the spot, I decided this would be a great topic for a podcast. No matter where you find yourself on this particular issue, there are right and wrong ways to study a word in the Bible. So let's take a look at both. We'll use the word day as our case study and see if we can shed a little light on it. Let's begin our study with a search for the word day. I'll tab to move my cursor to the search entry box and type in the first couple of letters, D, A. Now, when I type the third letter, Y, Accordance realizes I'm searching for a word and not a verse and automatically switches to a word search. In this case, it lists all the words in this Bible that begin D-A-Y. Rather than typing in the rest of the word, I can then navigate up and down the list using the arrow keys. Since I want the first one in this list, I can just hit Return or Enter to choose the word and search for it in a single stroke. Here are the search results. 1,602 occurrences of the word D-A-Y with either a small or capital D in 1,411 verses. If I had chosen to use a flex search here instead of a word search, I would have gotten more hits because the search would have found the plural, days, and any other common variants. This search will work for our purposes, though. Now, let's see what this word means. There are right and wrong ways to do a word study in the Bible. Let's take a look at both of them. How not to study a word. From the time we are little, we are taught to look up the definition of a word in a dictionary. That makes it natural to do the same when we're studying the Bible. Accordance does include a copy of Webster's dictionary, so we can do so easily. Let me open my library. Now, we just select the word, move our cursor over the resource in our library, and click the little amplify button that appears. Accordance automatically opens the dictionary to the word's definition. As we can see, Websters gives us 5 different definitions of the word day. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Here, I've made a slide that paraphrases them. First, the time of light, the time between sunrise and sunset, the light, sunshine, roughly 12 hours at the spring and fall equinoxes. Second, the period of the Earth's revolution on its axis, roughly 24 hours. Third, the hours designated for work, a workday, for example, 8 hours. 4, a specified period of time or period with reference to a prominent person or thing, an age, a time, for example, in Moses' day. 5th, some particular day, as an anniversary or contest, etc. For example, this is our day. However, using definitions from Webster's to understand words in the Bible is a methodological error, a bad technique. It often yields incorrect results. Why? Well, first, Webster's and other English dictionaries define the English word, not the original Greek or Hebrew word it translates. Second, no word in one language is identical to a word in another language. At best, consider a translated word an approximation of the meaning of the original word. Words have different ranges of meaning, and often different connotations or subtle nuances that are lost in translation. That's why scholars always work with original language texts. Sometimes, many different Hebrew and Greek words are translated by a single English word. At other times, the reverse is true. The conclusion? Word studies in the Bible should always focus on the original Greek or Hebrew word in the passage. That's the word for which we need the definition. We can check these critiques for accuracy easily using accordance analytics. We've already searched for day in the ESV. Analysis will show us how many different Hebrew and Greek words it translates as day. Take a look. 31 different ones. A pie chart will give us a better sense of the proportions here, especially if we decide to display it by percentages. Notice that better than 2/3 of the time, day translates the Hebrew word yom. That's the word that appears twice in Genesis 1:5, which we can see in Instant Details if we press the Option key and click each word. Now that's a high percentage, but 1/3 still represents a lot of different words. The bar chart will break all these uses out for us visually. What if we look at it another way? How many different English words are used to translate the Hebrew word yom? Even if we don't read Hebrew, we can check by searching for this word's key number, like so. It's H3117. Yom appears 224 times in the Hebrew Bible in 1,893 verses. Again, we can use analysis to see all the ways it's translated, 134 different forms, some of which include helping words, which means yom is part of a phrase. The pie chart, once we switch the display to words instead of key numbers and show percentages, shows roughly 51% of the time the word is translated day and 29% it's translated days. That total, 80%, is a pretty strong match. But what about this other 20%? Again, the bar chart lays them out for us. Let's summarize what we've learned so far. First, the English word day has a broad range of meanings, though it most often refers to a specific period of time, 24 or 12 hours. Second, even though the English day is a strong candidate to translate the Hebrew yom, it's not a perfect match. We've observed that the Hebrew yom is translated into other English words, and that other Hebrew and Greek words are translated by day. Third, and finally, we also haven't yet checked the definition of the original Hebrew word yom, which is the word used repeatedly in Genesis 1. We'll do that in the next segment. Quick word study. Accordance is designed to encourage proper Bible study technique and to make it easy even if we don't read Hebrew or Greek. Here are 5 different features that allow us to study a word quickly. The key number search searches for a single original language word so we can see how it's translated in other passages. All we have to do is to read the passages after we've searched, where the translated word will be highlighted. Secondly, Accordance's analytics provides different ways to analyze those search results. Of particular interest are analysis, which statistically summarizes the different ways the word is translated in the Bible, and the pie and bar charts, which compare the frequency of different words used for translation. We've already used both of these earlier in the podcast. Here are 3 more. Instant Details offers quick definitions of tagged words. We can use the included Greek-Hebrew lexicon. It offers short definitions of every word in the Bible. If we've purchased an expository dictionary, we can compare and contrast the word with other original language words in the Bible. And a Bible dictionary explains how the word and its meaning contribute to a topic. Again, one is included in every copy of Accordance. Here's how Instant Details contributes to a quick word study. It's so easy it ought to be the first technique we use. First, if Instant Details isn't already showing, we can open it by clicking this button on our toolbar. Hovering over a tagged word displays its parsing or key number information. But pressing the Command key, Windows users, that's the Control key, while doing so shows its definition. In key number Bibles, Instant Details shows the definitions from either the Mounce Greek or the Kohlenberger Mounce Hebrew lexicon and our default Bible dictionary. Triple-clicking the word will open the lexicon. Triple-clicking while pressing the Shift key opens the default Bible dictionary. Now that we've opened both sources, let's see what they say about the Hebrew word yom. The Greek lexicon says, day, 24 hours, daytime in contrast to night, by extension an indefinite period of time, an era with a certain characteristic, such as the day of the Lord and the prophetic on that day. The Eerdmans Bible Dictionary defines it as a 24-hour period, an indefinite period of time, symbolically for salvation and righteousness, and eschatologically for the future days of judgment and salvation. There are a couple of other quick ways to get more information. Let's go back to the lexicon. See this arrow? It points to related articles in Mounce's expository dictionary. If we own it, we can just click to move to that resource. This article gives 5 possible definitions for day, each with scriptural examples. 1. The period of daylight. 2. A 24-hour day. 3. A general unspecified period of time. 4. A specific point of time, or in time. And 5. A year, or annually. I think we're beginning to see a pattern here. The Hebrew yom, much like the English day, can mean a variety of things. It does not always mean daylight or a 24-hour day, even though those two uses are the most common. Now, what if we haven't purchased the Mounce Expository Dictionary? No problem. Remember how we clicked the word and searched for it in an English dictionary by clicking the Amplify button? If we click the word and hold the Option or Alt key down, we can use exactly the same technique and it will search for the key number or the original language word, whichever is most appropriate to the resource. We can use this technique to search Wren's Expository Dictionary, the scholarly standard Brown Driver Briggs Hebrew Lexicon, or the New International Dictionary of the Old Testament Theology and Exegesis. In fact, if we decide we're going to use any of these resources regularly, it's probably easier to drag its icon from the library to the toolbar, where it will be easier to access. Next up, the interlinear allows us to see how other Bible versions translate the word. Here's how to access Accordance's interlinear. We can turn it on using this button and selecting an interlinear from the drop-down menu. As you can see, I already have one named English Bibles. Hovering over the word with our cursor highlights the entire column, making it easy to see how each of these translations handled the word. In this case, notice there's universal agreement that yom be translated day, with some using a capital letter and others not. In the second instance in this verse, all of them use day with a small d. Now, this kind of agreement isn't always the case. Some passages vary widely. The interlinear itself is very easy to customize. We can add Bibles and other information to our interlinear using the same menu, like so. When we're happy with it, we can scroll down to the bottom of the menu and choose Save as a New Interlinear. The next time we open the menu, it will appear in our list of interlinears. To close the interlinear and return to normal view, just select Hide Interlinear. And finally, the info pane lets us check how scholars and others explain the word's meaning in context. There, commentaries show us how different scholars understand the passage, and study Bibles offer insights into how others interpret it. The info pane allows us to check multiple sources very quickly. It has a lot of different keyboard shortcuts, which make it even faster to use. So let's review them first. Hovering over the resource shows the comment in instant details, and holding the Option or Alt key and clicking it shows the comment in an instant details pop-up. Clicking it opens the resource in a parallel pane, and if we've already done that once, it replaces the previous resource. Shift-clicking opens the resource in an additional parallel pane. That is, it does not replace a current resource. And finally, holding the Command or Control key down plus clicking opens the resource in a separate zone tied to the main Bible. We can open the info pane with the Add Parallel button, where it is at the top of this menu. The info pane offers us quick access to a lot of information, but we're only going to use it for commentaries and study Bibles today. There's too much information in these resources to read them aloud. especially in an episode that already threatens to go too long. If you're interested in what each of these says about this passage, I suggest you pause the video at different points to read them. I'll just demonstrate the different ways to open them. First, we'll add some more commentaries. Here's what happens when we hover over them. And here's what happens when we press the Option or Alt key and click. Notice that the Instant Details pop-up allows us to scroll to read the entire article. Clicking opens a resource in a parallel pane, recycling that pane to the new resource each time we click. Shift-clicking opens a resource in an additional parallel pane without replacing any resources. I think we'd better close some of these panes before looking at the final shortcut. Command, Mac, or Control PC clicking to open a resource in a separate tied zone. Notice we can open more than one resource in that zone, and the fact that it's tied means resources will automatically scroll with the main text. These same techniques work with study Bibles. Study Bibles tend to be less scholarly than commentaries, but also less expensive and easier to read, which is why many people prefer them. The evidence is clear. Our word study shows that the Hebrew word yom and the English word day have a variety of different definitions. They include a 24-hour day and the hours of daylight, but also an age or an unspecified time period. Now, this fact alone will not end the argument on Genesis 1. But it is one additional piece of evidence we ought to consider. I hope you found this podcast illuminating. This has been Dr. J for Accordance Bible Software. Thank you for watching this episode of Lighting the Lamp.